On today's episode of the Drop Everything Now podcast, you could probably guess what our topics of discussion are. We start off the episode with the phenomenon of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce that is absolutely sweeping the nation. We will say we recorded on October 11th, so the Thursday night football game attendance, the PAP walks, and the SNL appearances were not on the table for discussion, but we were freaking out, just so you know. And then, of course, we finish with a 1989 Taylor's version preview. We discussed the vault track title, some other things leading up to the 1989 release in like a week and a half. So if you're ready for it, are you ready for it? It's time to drop everything now.
Wait. Give me a countdown.
1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch.
Hello, everybody.
What's going on?
My name's Steph.
I'm also Steph.
And welcome to episode 28 of the Drop Everything Now podcast.
Woohoo! This is the episode of like love in 1989.
Love, excitement.
And I guess I'll preface this. We're recording on October 11th, which is the premiere, the LA premiere, whatever, however that works, for the Eras Tour film. Oh my God, I guess like the red carpet stuff is today. Right. I think it actually is out tomorrow for like general public. I don't know.
Wait, I thought is today Thursday? I thought it's out Friday.
The 13th. Maybe it is. Maybe it's 2 days ahead. But it's Friday, like the celebrity premiere. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, we're not going to be able to talk. We're not talking about anything like, oh, how was the movie related, just in case this comes out once it's released. But we're doing our 1989 preview ep, basically.
But more so, our Travis Kelce episode. Let's be real.
Okay, we literally talked about like after she showed up at the Chiefs game, we talked about wanting to do an emergency episode like that day. Basically. Yes. And then we were like, well, maybe we should give it a few days to see if other stuff comes out.
Yeah.
And then
then I went to Alabama and then I got COVID.
Right. So we had to delay it, but I'm glad we did because we've gotten a lot of stuff. I have the whole timeline.
Oh my gosh.
No.
You hand wrote it.
I'm fucking nuts. Okay. Let me tell you something. This has gripped me away. None of her relationships have previously. And I think I know why.
Go ahead.
Well, partially. Obviously, when we were young, like I loved Joe Jonas. I loved Taylor Lautner in the time. Like I didn't really care about Harry Styles. I didn't really care about Jake Gyllenhaal and those things. But like you only knew about things like sort of after it happened already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
that's what I was going to say. Like I feel like I only heard about Joe Jonas once they had already broken up and she
totally Joe Jonas. And then like Taylor Lautner definitely was like the Twilight, like her SNL appearance when she did the little like wink.
Right.
I was alive and well and fandom for that.
Yeah.
But it was like you didn't have all of the social media that you could like be seeing things in the same way. And I don't know. It just like did not. When they would break up, I'd be like, oh, we're going to get songs about this. So like it would be exciting, I guess, in that sense, but like I never really was like, oh, I'm obsessed with this. And then Joe, I like Joe and I still like Joe, but I was never like, oh, I wish
Joe Alwyn.
Yes, Joe Alwyn, sorry, not Joe Jonas.
It's okay. I was just making sure. I know.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, but not that Joe's just being the worst. Like, okay, you're saying you still like Joe. I can't, like, I know maybe this is like so toxic of me, but ever since Travis before Travis, and I mean like up to like the week before Travis, I'm like, oh, maybe one day, maybe one day Taylor Swift and Joe Alwyn will like get back together. And like the second after I see all this stuff about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce when she goes to the game, I immediately am like, Joe Alwyn is my number one public enemy.
Okay, so it's so funny that you say that, because I'm like not the opposite, but like I was so over Joe the second You're Losing Me came out.
Which
I
makes
was like,
sense.
F him. She should never get back with him because of how he made her feel.
Right.
And I still like definitely feel that. I don't want them to get back together. Well, clearly ever. But I feel bad about the way people are reacting to him now because of Travis Kelce.
I know.
And like, I totally get it. And we will talk about it because I'm with everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, I kind of feel bad that he's getting like dragged into this.
I know. I kind of love
later. But I love it too because I'm like, this is exactly the opposite person that you were. And we love him for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And also I want to say, like, I don't think, did we even mention, because like the rumors were going on our last episode. Did we mention that there were like that he sent her
we didn't because so I had made a TikTok in like mid-August.
Yeah.
After seeing a bunch of the stuff and like, because obviously, well, let's go through the timeline.
Okay. Okay, wait. So yeah, go ahead. Timeline.
So I kind of went from like the first like sort of, oh, wait a minute. Like I know it caught steam at the end of July after the friendship bracelet on the podcast.
Right. I remember
but there were some
when
other
he said
things. That. Right. And that's when I made the TikTok like 2 weeks later because people had started saying, oh my gosh, she played Stay, 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 blah, blah, blah. It mentions football. And I was like, wait a minute. Like, are we into this?
Yeah.
Like, because I was like, I am into this because I love football. So they do this. I tried to like, because some people are going crazy. Like, oh, 2016 interview where he said he'd kiss Taylor Swift in like a marry, kiss, kill thing. And I'm like, we're not going that far back. Or like he's dancing to Love Story at the Super Bowl. Who cares? She was still with Joe. Nothing.
It's not relevant.
Okay. So late June, there's this like some of the tight ends in the NFL host like a tight end university where a lot of them will get together and do like a little camp.
Right.
So late June, he made a video or like was in a video about tight end university and like welcoming people to tight end U. Mm-hmm. And he was making friendship bracelets. And he said, oh, I'm going to take a page out of Taylor Swift's book. And in my head, to me, like, and some people are like, oh, they were totally together. And I'm like, please, like, I don't think that was what was happening. No. But I could see she was everywhere, you know, like, and he knew she was recently single from whatever Maddie Healy stuff, the Joe, whatever. I feel like that could have been maybe when he thought, oh, I'm going to go to a show soon in Kansas City. Like, she's cool. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of why I was like, okay, maybe this was the first, like, him throwing her name out there, sort of like he might be interested if he gets a chance to whatever.
Right. Because he probably also had, like, I doubt that they were even talking, but he probably had seen, like, that Aaron Rodgers was there at MetLife because that was obviously in May.
I mean, it was literally everywhere. And then he probably knew he was going Kansas City. So, like, he was finding more things out about her, most likely.
But I was going to say, because it's, like, the football stadiums and, like, other football players are going. So it was probably in talks, like, oh, hey, you should go, like, to your whatever it is. So he wanted to take it to the next level because it's obviously more than just, I'm going to this concert. It's like, if he knew the friendship bracelets and that he was making it, like, he's putting the effort in.
Totally. Adorable.
So
then like 2 weeks later is the Kansas City shows and he's at night 2. Apparently it's night 2.
That's
I don't know.
Weekend that
Speak Now came out.
Taylor's
yes. July 7th and July 8th. He was or that's when she was in Kansas City and he went to the second show. So that was when she was doing all the Last Kiss fumbles. You know what, when she because Last Kiss was one of the surprise songs on the second night and she kept messing it up because she kept forgetting the words.
Oh, I think I didn't see it.
Very funny. It's a good video because it's just like, oh, this is like hilarious. And then when you think about, oh, Travis was watching her just like fumble up there and just like whatever. So then like 2 weeks later is when it really gets steam because he mentions on the podcast. Yes, on him and his brother's podcast, he mentions that he wanted to see her after the show, but she doesn't meet anybody. And he was butthurt because he had a bracelet with his number on it.
Yes.
So this is when everybody else is starting.
This is when I start hearing about it.
Yeah, and it's like, whoa, LOL. So
yeah,
then
LOL. Nobody, I don't think at that point anybody thought, oh, are they actually?
No, I don't think people thought, oh, they're talking or like it worked. But like, I think in a general sense, there were some people, like there's some in his circle that would make jokes about it afterwards, which we'll get to. But then I think for fans, maybe that like latched onto it, then it was more about like, Well, it could happen. Like, he's famous.
Right.
She's famous. Like, if she wanted, if she got news of this story or something and wanted to, you know, whatever, she could. Or like he could somehow find a way to actually get her his number.
Right.
So I feel like that's why maybe it got a little more attention, because it was just like, wait, but actually, who says no?
And I think that that was the first time we've seen somebody say something like that, like about dating her. And I think, first of all, any NFL player like Aaron Rodgers and anybody who's anybody that was there got some sort of attention, whether they have their own podcast, whether it was a tweet, whatever it was. If they said anything about Taylor Swift after going to their show, it's picking up traction. So that on top of Travis Kelce saying that he wanted to like pursue Taylor sort of, I think gave double the traction. As somebody who I knew who Travis Kelce it was, I knew who the Kelce brothers were only because of the Super Bowl and the whole like Mama Kelce and like the Kelce Bowl. Like I didn't really even know what like Travis Kelce like barely knew what he looked like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me at that point, I like didn't think twice about it other than like that's giggly. I didn't even think what Taylor was thinking. I just was like, that's really funny that he wanted to get her and he's this cool football player and like he got turned down by her. Like Taylor Swift is like so cool.
Well, and it's funny because some people were like, wow, Taylor Swift turned him down. And I was like, I don't think he was saying she turned him down. It's just that she doesn't meet anybody, you know?
Yes. But I guess I meant
he
so
kind of
like,
made it sound like.
Yes. He's like, oh, because she turned it down. Her security guard said no. But I guess I meant like if he's talking about that 2 weeks later, there has been no communication between them. And in my belief, like, I don't know what the public thought, but in my head, I think that is what put Travis Kelce on the map in Taylor Swift's eyes. Like,
so
I
think
could see that because of that. That is how she heard, like, what? And then, like, he's making headlines and headlines. And in my head, Taylor's like, oh, I know who he is, but, like, let me, like, look up a little bit more about him and, like, let me watch the podcast and let me do this. And, like, oh, he looks fun. Like, you know what? Send him my number.
And this is, like, the first, I guess, people are really, like, debating what happened. Like, I agree with you. I think the podcast is probably where she found out about him wanting to give her the number.
Same.
Some people are saying, oh, someone probably got it to her between the show and the podcast. And the podcast was like the sort of soft launch of like, let's see what people think about it. But I like just don't agree.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, but I don't think that.
But I really did like, when I saw it on the podcast, I thought he went to the concert like that weekend before. You know, like I didn't even realize the show was 3 weeks earlier or 2 weeks earlier. So I am more in the camp of like the podcast is what got her to be like, oh wait, what's this? Yeah,
exactly. I feel like that's what got her attention also. But I think, I mean, like I'm sure you'll talk more, but between that podcast and Taylor Swift showing up at the Chiefs game, I think they were talking.
Agreed. Totally. I think they probably started talking pretty early on.
Yeah.
And part of the reason, I guess, and part of the reason I started to be in mid-August when I was like, wait a minute,
right?
Do we like this? Is because there was another episode of their podcast like around that time. And in between, like there was like a training camp thing where like, oh, who's your celebrity crush? And one of the Chiefs players was like, oh, isn't it Taylor Swift?
Right.
Like,
and he
Travis
was like,
Kelce, and he just like giggled. Thing. Yeah. And like, granted, obviously they could be poking fun at him for the friendship bracelet.
The friendship bracelet, yeah.
But also maybe they knew more at that point. They were already talking. I don't know.
Yeah, his response to it being like, "Ooh," and like not saying anything.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
Doing his like signature mustache move, whatever that is, made me feel like maybe they were talking because he got like almost like shy, embarrassed, giggly.
And I think the podcast that was around mid-August, I think it was, when they talk about his mustache, like him and his brother, I think was where I posted the TikTok and I was like, wait a minute, I would really love this. Like if this happened, because Jason was like, what do you think Taylor Swift would think of your mustache? And he goes, we're not going to talk about Taylor on this episode. But something tells me I think she'd like it. You know, so he basically said something like that. And in my head,
I didn't know that.
And like, granted, it literally could just be, I think she'd like it because like, why wouldn't you? But I
don't think
agree.
so.
Now that we know more, I was like, they're 100% were talking by this point.
No, I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
And also because he didn't want his brother to bring her up anymore.
Right. So like,
If
why
you were
would
still
you?
waiting on Taylor Swift, you'd be singing like Love Story or something like on
Right.
the podcast, be like, comes like notice me.
Right. There's no reason he wouldn't bring it up if they weren't in some sort of contact, or if like he knew he was about to be in contact with her
Right.
and didn't want to like.
And he also, I guess they had like time off or something. Oh, because the podcast is only during the season most
Right.
of the time. So like they had kind of like taken another like whatever. And he was like, "What'd you do on your break?" And Travis was kind of like, I can't even remember. Like, I don't even remember." And he was like, "I think I was in New York." So like people also are speculating. And there was some like Dumois things and stuff that was like they've hung out before, or like there was like some sort of thing planned or whatever. So like in August, there were signs, but everybody kept being like, "No, that's bullshit. There's no way."
Yeah, me included. Because I remember when I remember when the podcast came out when he talked about the friendship bracelets, because that like made such crazy news and like whatever. And then I remember you making the TikTok where you're like, "How do we feel about this?" Was like a long time after that
Yeah,
news,
it was like
and
3
I'm like,
weeks later.
Steph, like we're everybody's over this. This has flared up and gone away. Like nobody's talking about this right now. Like get with a program.
No, that's why I
you
said it
know,
was the rabbit hole. I fell into the rabbit hole of everybody talking about all these little things that were popping up, and I was like, "Wait a minute, it might still be happening."
In my head, I didn't hear anything again until there all of a sudden, probably about a week and a half to 2 weeks before she was actually spotted at the game, it then started circulating and everybody and their mother was talking to me about it. And I was like, I don't like at your wedding, they're like, well, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about, and there's all these dating rumors and like, it started out as nothing. And then all of a sudden every news source is picking it up. And I'm like, I don't think that this is like true. I think Travis, like, I just like fully didn't buy it. But that was even well into September. Like there was from July to September, I like didn't hear
think there was
anything.
Yeah. Cause that's like, and then there was when she was in SoFi, or in LA to film.
Oh, the last night. What
was that, early
couple nights
August?
of the US. It was when I was in Lavallette. Because remember, I like woke up in the middle of the night and was like, Steph, are you? It was like the first week of August. It was
August
like
8th, 9th, something
9th,
like that.
10th. Yes, it was around that.
He was at training camp and there was people interviewing him at training camp and asking, "Oh, I know you went to the Taylor Swift, like, why don't you go to the LA show?" And he was like, "I don't think I'm going to make it there, but it's a great show," like, or something along the, and people again were like, "Oh, he's being very like coy now. He's not saying." And I think they asked him like, "Hey, did you get that date or something?" And he was just like, "We're not going to talk about my personal life," or like, so like, definitely seemed to change his like
each other since August.
Yeah, like definitely seemed to change the narrative. So that's like, there's two things I fully believe. One, the Chiefs game was not the first time they hung out.
No,
and two, I think it was just between Friendship Bracelet podcast episode. So like 2 months, I'd say maybe they had maximum of 2 months of hanging out before the Chiefs game.
I guarantee like their first time on like a date or whatever was right around when he like shied away from it.
I think it was probably in August, like that early.
Yeah, like whether that was the first time that they were like talking and planning on seeing each other, so he knew like I got to stop this now.
Right.
But also like just as you were talking, it makes sense too. And I think you're right because like I think that's on Taylor Swift's end. I think that the dating rumors, they purposely let them out a week and a half or 2 weeks before she showed up at the Chiefs game.
Yep.
And they both decided that together. Let's start sprinkling into the news, see how people react, and then I'll show up. Not only, I think that's how Taylor Swift works, and a lot of, not just Taylor Swift, but a lot of PR or like whatever it is, Tree Payne, like whoever works. But also that's exactly the kind of timeline that happened with the split of her and Joe Alwyn. So we all of a sudden, well, one day it was just boom, dropped. It was the day before Easter. I'll never forget. And I was like, oh my God. And then every news source picked it up. And then we like slowly but surely realize, oh my God, of course, like the whole Maddie Healy, her stepping out with Maddie Healy was kind of like, yep, we're donezo.
Yeah,
like,
it's
kind of calling it. And then if you look back, we can tell, especially based on the sources, they actually broke up months ago.
Right.
And like the sources coming out was her way of like feeling, taking a
Right.
beat
And
or
like, obviously,
taking the
right.
temperature.
And when you even look at the fact that he wasn't at the first Eras concert, which
Right.
was early March, then right.
Right.
Of course they broke up before it came out in the news. And that reminds me, because it did kind of like lose momentum, obviously, during August, but like some people were still paying attention. And then on the Friday before the game, or Thursday,
Before the
Travis was
game that she was
on
at.
the game that she was at, the Chiefs
Yes.
game. Travis was on the Pat McAfee show, which is another sports show. And Pat McAfee asked him, hey, like, I don't want to pry, but like, I can't, like, whatever, asking out Taylor Swift or whatever. And he said, like, and you've probably seen it, but that's when he said,
Yeah.
oh, I told her, like, I've seen you rock the stage at Arrowhead. You need to come see me rock the stage. And everybody that was definitely in the sphere of wanting this to happen or thinking it was happening was all like, he says he told her. He's talking directly to her now. Yeah, exactly. So like everybody was like, holy shit, they're talking. Like, this is crazy. And then 3 days later, she shows up at the Chiefs game.
Right. So
before
then go ahead.
No, go for it.
Before he had said that, the Pat McAfee show, like, obviously, I think there was like about a week's worth, maybe even more, week and a half's worth of, like I was saying, like everything was picking up speed again. It was all over the news, not the new, social media, blah, 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 that they had been seeing each other. They've been seeing each other. And everyone starts asking, if you're a Swiftie, I'm sure you had this like at work, because, I work in a male environment because I work at an all boys school. So every single teacher is asking me, oh, Travis Kelce, Travis Kelce, Travis Kelce. And I'm like, nope, I don't believe anything because I know that Travis and Jason Kelce have a podcast and he has mentioned her before. And I think that they probably are just mentioning her like to make headlines, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I will not believe anything literally until she shows up at a game. And then I finally got to a point where I was like, I'm not saying I do or don't believe it. I'm saying I cannot believe it until I see them together. Like, that's when I'll believe it.
Yeah.
And then before Travis said that, Jason Kelce answered something on a podcast that he said, I believe it's 100% true that they're dating. Okay, what?
Yeah.
I still didn't actually believe it then. My brother sent it to me and I was like, no.
Oh, actually, that's what it was. So Jason said that because the Eagles played Thursday night and he was in the post-game interview. And that's when he said it. And then, or maybe the radio show the next day. I don't know what it was. So then I think that's why Pat McAfee asked Travis. Because like, now you have your brother out here. And he was like, I know my brother's just saying all kinds of stuff and like blah, blah, blah. Like, just really being nuts. And then that's when he's like, I told her, blah, blah, blah. So I think like that, that was like, okay, why is the NFL asking so many questions?
But I do think that stuff, although like Travis and Jason seem very like organic and just like whatever, all of everything that they said, plus all those little articles were very much planned to take the temperature of like letting us kind of ease into her being at the game. Like,
oh, I agree. And I definitely think like when he mentioned it on the Pat McAfee show, it was already 100% that she was going to show up. And it was basically to be like, I told you. So obviously everybody's still freaking out. But like, if you looked for the signs, I told you she was going to be there.
Yeah, without a doubt. They already, like, she didn't decide a day before. Like,
the first time she's meeting him too. I know some people were like, oh my God, can you imagine? And I'm like, people, they did not just meet now for the first time in person.
Let's not only that. Okay. So let's think of the logic. Okay. Just like in every different angle. If that, for anyone that believes or like thinks maybe it was the first time. Not only do I not think it's the first time that obviously that they met, I think they've been dating prior to this, other than what we have already said. First of all, who meets somebody's mother and their group of friends before you meet the person? Because you're saying she was there to watch the game. And then their first interaction, like she gets special treatment and the two of them drive off together the very first time that they meet in person.
Well, and that's a big thing too, because everybody was talking about that. And everybody was using the getaway car as the main reason why there's no way they just met. Because they were like, when does Taylor Swift let security leave her and let her drive off? Like, you wouldn't do that with someone you just met.
Right.
Also, because now that we've seen the TMZ picture and they seemed very comfortable with each other.
At the after party.
At the after party. I think that video of them walking out of the stadium looking so awkward was probably because they wanted to make sure they weren't showing any signs of like more familiarity. Like,
Other than
we can't hold
day.
hands.
Yeah.
You know, right. We can't be too much.
Right.
Because
Right.
this is in a public space.
Absolutely. That 100%. And so even other than like the first time you're not going to meet his friends and family before even talking to him, not only that, but it's also definitely not the first time you're ever going to hang out with him, even if maybe they just met briefly before that, like the day before they had their first date. Still absolutely not, because imagine your first time really, really hanging out and spending time together. Like when you're completely and totally unsure of somebody, you're going to be televised for the entire world to see, knowing that the whole world's going to talk about it. You're not going to risk that. You're not going to risk, like, after this weekend, we might not ever talk again, like, because this is truly only our first or second time dating.
Well, right.
There's just, like, there is absolutely no way in heck that this is that was their first weekend hanging out.
Agreed.
At all.
Absolutely. And also, especially because she's been through it before. With like whenever something's a short fling, she gets grief about it. Like Tom Hiddleston, Maddie Healy, like maybe not Maddie Healy. I think people have grown a little bit. Like Maddie Healy, more so, we were like, thank God it was short lived.
Thank God.
But like, it seems like she would know, like, I'm not going to cause this type of stir. Like sit with his mom, hang out with his friends before the game, all this stuff. Like, if it wasn't like something not worth it, because I know that it's still very early on, but like, you're not going to just do that for like someone you barely know and don't have any interest in.
Right.
You're not going to cause the grief for yourself.
No, you're just not. And like, the only way I would have believed that if it was like after the game, she hadn't gone to the game and like she was spotted showing up to the after party, where it's like, oh, that could, you know what I mean? But like her going to the game, like just the whole thing is, you know, and what I meant by that was like us seeing the pictures because the paparazzi leaked, or they were walking on the street together and just somehow we like saw those pictures, but it was just unintentional. Like, I would maybe believe it, but this was all very much intentional. Both Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce knew it would be like, it's not like they called the paparazzi. It is a televised game. Like, it's, you 100%. Know, like, you know that that's going to happen.
Yep.
So the second that this, like, prior to seeing Taylor Swift at the game, I was very much like, no opinion. I have no opinion. And I even said this at your wedding. Everybody was asking as we were getting, by the way, congrats. You're married.
Crazy. Yippee. Steph did great in her speech, by the way. Everybody loved it.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I was so highly complimented. It was really great.
I mean, they were awesome. Both the speeches were great.
Yes, they were. They were great.
You guys did a great job.
It was really
Anyway.
It was great.
Let's talk about the real love story, okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was very much just like indifferent because I was like, I don't know much about it. And then I remember I asked you and Courtney while we were getting ready. I'm like, because Courtney's like, oh, well, he had this dating show. And I was like, oh, like, I really didn't know much about him. And I was like, and I'm not putting any thought into it unless I need to. And so you guys are like, oh, yeah, we would like it. We'd like it, blah, 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 blah. But again, completely indifferent. The second, I mean, the moment I saw the videos of Taylor Swift reacting to the touchdowns and the two of them driving off in the getaway car and then walking out together, I was like, oh my God.
Literally an obsession came over me and I could not be stopped. Like,
literally.
And everybody did the same thing.
Yes.
Like, the amount of TikToks I saw where people were like, I'm just like giggling, I'm kicking my feet in the air, and I'm like, me fucking too.
Like, what?
Love this
it's
shit.
Like it's addicting seeing them together, seeing her happy, seeing like
it was
how different he is.
Week. It was the best week because we had, okay, then we'll go through the timeline a little more. Obviously, Sunday, high, Chiefs game. Monday, high, reacting to the Chiefs game.
Reacting and getting the after pick. Oh, you got that?
Yes. No, well, because the TMZ pick came on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Because it was true, or
it came like
Tuesday,
a day or two later.
Tuesday, yeah. Because, right, the Monday is just like everybody like living for the content, and then you kept getting snippets of things. Like it would be like, oh, they were pretty touchy at the party, like, but you never saw a picture.
Yeah.
And then like all those kinds of things. And I was like, this is incredible. And then Tuesday, the TMZ picture dropped, I believe.
Yes.
Later in the day. Wednesday, Travis Kelce's podcast drops.
Wait, also just to clarify the TMZ picture in case somebody didn't see, it was like they said like, oh, the after party, Travis Kelce like rented out the restaurant for like
Yeah.
everybody, blah 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 blah. And then there are these pictures, which we had known from Demois, it said that they were all over each other all night.
Yeah.
But like who knows without a picture? And the pictures like prove that like it looks like she's like maybe sitting on his lap.
She's
if
like
not standing
right.
sitting on his lap.
Yes, exactly. Like she's between his legs, basically.
She's between his legs. And like I know I do that to Ryan all the time, and I'm sure you do that to Connor. Like that's a very intimate like
Yes,
like
and she
a
had her arm
comfort
around his
thing.
neck. Yeah.
Having your arm around his neck and him having her arm around his waist, like I could tell you that's like a comfort safety. Like you don't do that with someone that's like your first date. Like
No,
unless you're
100%.
blacked out drunk and you know what I mean? Like
No. Agreed.
they were so
Also,
like
because you're Taylor Swift, you're not doing that.
no.
I mean, and granted, obviously they thought they were in private and no pictures were going to be taken, which again proves this no PR stunt bullshit, like, or just for PR
Right.
relationship thing. But, so maybe you might let your guard down a little bit, like, oh, I can be comfortable or like
Right.
more comfortable around
And
him since there's
most
no
of these
pictures, but still at the same time, you're
no.
Taylor Swift.
Right.
You're like, somebody's going to tell, if not, like, I mean, we knew they were touching
Right.
or like, you know, all over each other before we saw the picture. The picture just proved it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
whoever said it was right.
And definitely, I saw somebody comment this on that TikTok that you made about it or something, but like it was definitely like a worker that dropped it. I doubt any of the players
Most likely.
like sold that to TMZ.
I would hope not. Right. And then, so then Travis's podcast comes out. He obviously has to address it. And I was nervous about until I was able to listen to it. I was really
Right.
nervous because I was like, I don't want this to go south because of like the way it gets, like he might handle it, right? Or like what he says. Because like
Right.
she's private. I know she doesn't want to be as private as she was in her like
Right.
last relationship, but like she's still Taylor Swift. She needs to have a semblance of like normalcy and privacy. And he
Yeah.
handled it perfectly.
Oh my God.
He just talked about things you saw. Everybody saw already. Her at the
Right.
game, jumping up and down, high-fiving, like the getaway car. And he references it as a
Yep.
getaway car. He says she looks amazing. And then he says he wants to keep that side of his life or his personal life. I also love that he said, listen, I know I brought it on myself.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, okay. He's taking accountability for the fact that like what he did originally to grab her attention, right? Potentially got her attention, but now he'd like to take it back or like remove it from the limelight, basically. And I was like, wow, he killed it.
And he said, like, I'll tell you, we had like a hell of a weekend or something. And I'm like,
yeah, like it was a hell of a weekend. Like I had a great weekend. Yes. And said she looks amazing. You know what?
Everything he
Fuck.
said was great.
So
But you're
good.
right. It's great that he really, other than saying it was a hell of a weekend, it's great that he only mentioned things that were already
Exactly.
like, public information.
The only stuff he talked about related to her was things we already saw, like game things on camera at the game, the getaway car. Nothing else was said to like relay personal information or private information that we didn't already know about, which I like incredible. Again, I was like,
Very
wow,
smart.
he knows what, like, I was like, he's handling this really well. And then it made me more giddy.
Oh my God, yeah. And
the fact that, okay, so then there was also like continual buzz that week because the Chiefs were going to New York.
Right.
For the Jets, to play the Jets. So obviously everybody was like, holy fuck, is she going to go to the Jets game? And everybody was pretty much like, yes, she is. And then I think someone else, like MetLife confirmed she was going.
Yeah.
And then news didn't die down. It didn't die down at all. But like, so then on Saturday night, she went out to dinner with her friends and Brittany Mahomes, who is the Chiefs quarterback's wife, for anybody that doesn't know. So I loved that. So then the next day, obviously she shows up at the Jets game. And this is when I get a little sad.
Oh my God.
It was too much and not her and not
that's
him.
what I was going to say.
It was the NFL was so annoying about it. Because
right before the game started, they had, actually, I kind of love that, but.
I love it, but like, I hate what it did because it has
agree.
turned everybody against her. Every NFL fan against her, I should say.
Every stupid NFL fan.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I will.
Agreed. No, I totally agree. I've literally like, because obviously I love football too. And I've literally been like, after the Jets game, I was just like, NFL fans are fucking insane and annoying. And I was like, wow, I love how quickly I was just like, I am not one of
part of it.
Yeah. Like not part of this.
So yes. So the reason it bothered me so much, like you just said, is because like all of a sudden you have this like shift where every a lot of guys and some girls, the pick me girls are like, get this girl off my screen.
Why is she even a
Why is
thing?
she? Yeah.
Yeah. Like people
She's
still
so
like Taylor Swift. And it's like, who
overrated.
the fuck?
Oh my God. And blaming Taylor Swift when
That was my problem.
Yeah, Taylor Swift has not posted anything. She has not said a word about Travis. All she did was show up
Was
to
be normal.
a football game.
Right.
Yeah. All she was show
be
up
normal
to
and went to a
games.
football game. Like that was it. And I was like really nervous after the Jets game with how like annoyed. And then the Giants played Monday night and fans booed when her commercial came on.
That.
And I was like, and then they got their asses kicked. Thank God.
I know.
I hope you, Giants.
I know Connor's a fan, but I hope the Giants never win a game ever again.
Could give a two shits if Connor's a fan. They were really fucking annoying. So I was getting nervous because I was like, if this is like, and then I think an article came out like, oh, they're still just like getting to know each other, hanging out, like seeing where it goes. And I was like, I'm really nervous that
this is gonna
one of two things might be happening. Like, is Travis like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is so much. Or like, is she gonna be like, okay, here I go becoming a target again. This is not worth it. You know, like, I was like, fuck this. I'm scared.
I am too.
But then again, you didn't hear much then. Everybody, obviously, Travis' birthday was that like last week. So people were thinking she might see him. But then on the podcast yet again, because I was nervous. I was like, fuck, like what if
on either end it could be a problem.
Exactly. So I was like, again, nervous to listen to the podcast. I was like, I hope nothing is wrong here. And he again was wonderful. And like props to Jason too, because Jason pushed him farther in terms of like, he's like, you think they're overdoing it a little bit? Like the NFL is overdoing it. And he was like, you know, they're having fun with it. And like, you know, I understand like it's a, you know, big thing or whatever, but like, and then like Jason was like, yeah, but they're overdoing it. And he was like, yeah, they are a little bit. And he was like, you know, and then I think he kept kind of talking about things. And then he was like, and like they basically said like fan reactions are fun, or like seeing who's at the game is fun. Show them after a touchdown. Like, sure, show them a couple times. But like, and then I think he said something like
17 times.
They didn't come here to get the camera shoved in their face. Yeah. Like, so and like I was like, okay.
They got a first down or something. Like as there were first downs, they showed her or something.
Right. Like or like touchdowns that it wasn't even Travis Kelce. So it's like one of those things where it's like,
you want to see that person's family or like whatever. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like, and like show her the amount of times you'd show Brittany Mahomes, which is typically when Patrick Mahomes does something miraculous and you're like, oh shit. And then it's like, here's his wife supporting him.
Right. Like, and like maybe Mama Kelce is right next to them because whatever. So you're seeing her again, but like you don't need like when Taylor Swift wasn't in the group, they didn't need to do that. And like
and I think I think he said the right thing, because then he was like, they didn't come there to have cameras shoved in their faces. They came here for a good time. Like, and I was like, again, like a little bit protective of her.
Right.
And like being like, can you fucking chill? But like he said it nicely.
He said it nicely. He said it perfectly. And that one made me less nervous. I was like, oh, thank God.
Me too.
Great. He's handling it.
I agree.
But I just want to like reiterate again, because like I got so angry. Honestly, nobody at work said anything. I thought oh, you know what? I think I had COVID, so I wasn't at work. But that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by Thursday, Friday, like nobody really had like mentioned it to me. But I had seen my boyfriend's fantasy chat. He decided to read it to me, and I'm like, don't ever do that again, because I like not on him. I flipped out like about what was said, and then obviously seeing everything online, and then seeing like personal people that I follow on Facebook and Instagram posting crap. That's what pissed me off the most, because the personal people that I follow know how, like, especially people that I'm friends with, know that we're fans, know who's a fan. Like, we post about it all the time. And you not only are you coming for Taylor Swift, which you don't have to like Taylor Swift, you can be annoyed that the NFL is doing that, and that's totally fine. But then coming for her music is juvenile, and whatever it is that you're saying about her. And her music is shit. Who's a Swiftie? This, that. The Giants booing. All of that stuff. It has always bothered me, but like particularly in this way. Because do you not realize when they're like, oh, Taylor Swift fans are crazy. Why are you defending her? I'm not defending her. I'm defending myself. You are saying that I am less intelligent. I am juvenile. And you're diminishing my intelligence and my passions to that of a 12-year-old girl. Oh, 12-year, all these 8-year-olds. Yeah, of course she has 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. but stop diminishing my intelligence, like whatever it is. Of course that's going to piss me off. And the people that I'm like relatively friends with or like acquaintances with that are posting that know that you're insulting the fans. You're insulting the fans because you're literally talking crap about Taylor Swift fans. And it especially pisses me off when it's coming from these, again, I love football, and so I'm only specifically talking about those talking shit about it, the football fans.
Oh yeah.
You're really gonna come for us of being like passionate fans and being stupid or it's juvenile when you are getting into fights over football that you're spending all of your money
Fans
and
are literally
draft.
dying in stadiums because they're biting each other and then getting like
Yeah.
head wounds from it. That literally happened like a month ago.
How many arrests are there per football game from drunk
How many
fans?
TVs get punched when an interception happens?
Yes. How many people are screaming at the top of their lungs? And again, there's an intelligence level based to like analyzing the games and betting and this and that. But you're gonna tell me that like me appreciating poetry and great writing is stupid and girlish and juvenile compared to watching boys throw a ball and tackle each other.
Right.
And again, I like football and there's so much, it's fun and I get it, but it's just like,
well,
when you're coming at my intelligence and my passions and like even taking Taylor Swift down and you are objectifying her and then talking about her exes, you are talking about all women and you are specifically talking about us.
Yep.
And just to do that when you are a crazy football fan?
Well, and also
so
my thing, right. And my thing about it, and because I didn't see as much of, and maybe it's because I wasn't really on like social media, like personal, I guess social media, I would call it. I didn't see as much of like tearing her music down or her fans down. But my problem with it, and first of all, this kind of goes back to the people complaining about it are stupid, because every overexposure that was put in front of us was not her fault. She didn't do any of this. She went to a fucking football game. Blame your sacred NFL.
Right.
For what they did. I mean, fucking put in a voice, whatever, like commercial on to explain football before Sunday Night Football. I get it. That's annoying, but that's not Taylor Swift's fault. Do you think she said, yeah, the voice, that sounds great, do it? Putting her movie commercial on because millions of Swifties are watching football now, and then other people getting annoyed about it, again, not her fault. So like it's just so dumb when people blamed her.
They show previews all the time.
All the time.
Course, yes, and I know she's in certain commercials for Capital One, but like that stuff is pre-recorded, and the TV networks that was on chose to push those commercials because there's not.
And the Travis Kelce's commercials are the same,
right?
Like he filmed a bunch in the off season, and he mentioned that on the podcast too. Yeah. He was like, "You're definitely going to see a couple more because there's a couple more." But like obviously, with the buzz he's getting now, they're flooding him now because why wait? He's getting all the attention now. Flood it now. It's not their fault.
And from a marketing perspective, it makes sense. The Taylor Swift, you have, there was like a 20-something% increase in female viewership at that game.
His jersey's 400% increase in sales.
Or sorry, it was 23 or 27 million people tuned into that Sunday night game, which the only thing that was compared to that or got that much viewership this year was the Super Bowl or on a Sunday night or on a Sunday period. So yes, it's understandable, but regardless if you're annoyed by it or not, that is the networks, that is the NFL and whatever TV network that you were watching, they decided to do that.
Because I don't know if you saw this, but I guess when Fox, because the Chiefs game was played on Fox, and I guess when they found out she was coming to the game, they asked if they could play her music, and she said no. So it's like she's not doing this for attention.
No.
And like, yes, does she mind the attention that comes with it to a certain extent? Of course not, because we know she does the pap walks to dinner and all that kind of stuff. But like, this isn't some exploitative.
Yeah, that was right. No, it's you said it right, but it is spelled exploitative, but it's
oh, thank you. I was literally in my head.
No,
I was
definitely,
like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like that.
I think you're right, but yeah, like she's not going to these games for people to get mad at her because they're playing her commercials and like doing things that are so Taylor Swift focused. I saw this like TikTok of like one of the podcasts that I've listened to before but don't listen to a lot. It's like a football podcast, and they were like, the NFL is bigger than Taylor Swift, and it's like, no, it's not. And then they literally, some Instagram account added up every single follower of the NFL Instagram account, all of the teams, NFL teams, how much viewership they get on an average Sunday, like blah 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 blah, and they got to like, I don't know, 180 million or something. And they were like, we multiplied it by 2 to blah blah blah, maybe like whatever. And then like Taylor Swift, 274 million followers on Instagram.
That is so funny.
So it's like,
I can't believe they took the time to do that.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
we're getting attacked.
I will say, like, I think as it stands, as a company, as a brand, as whatever, the NFL is bigger in terms of like longevity. Like,
of course,
in 100 years from now, and 50 years, how old's the NFL? 75 years old? I don't know.
100. It's around 100.
Okay. Like, of course, from then to now, like, everybody knows what the NFL is in general. But right now, in this moment, in this past year specifically, Taylor Swift is more headlining news than the NFL, and more
totally,
people,
and also globally, she is
globally. Yes,
and like,
of course.
Taylor Swift, we've talked about it on the last episode. She has become bigger than anything I would have thought, even during her like 1989 era. She is like the Michael Jackson of this time, and it's like she's huge.
Oh yeah, and you know what's funny, Steph? I forget if I said this on the last podcast, but I was listening to, no, I didn't, because it was on my way home from Alabama, I was listening to our Red episode, because it was the only thing I texted you about this. It was the only thing I had downloaded on my Spotify other than music, and it was fall 2021.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how big Taylor Swift is right now, and how everyone's coming out of the woodworks and being fans. And we're like, it's just so crazy, because like, how much bigger could she get? Like, she thought that she was out of her prime, but right now she's like getting bigger and bigger. And like, think of Taylor's version release compared to, then you also had Midnight's come out. Then you have Speak Now, Midnight's, the Eras Tour, Speak Now, Taylor's version, all of this. She has more than doubled her fame since Red Taylor's version.
Oh, I know.
And like, listening to us talk about her, like, her crazy fame, I can't even say like, how could she get much bigger than she is right now? Because I thought that 2 years ago, and she's like doubled it.
It's crazy. It honestly is. And I guess back to like sort of our love.
Oh yes.
I think this is a perfect person to be with to handle it.
Oh yes.
He's the first person that's acting like, holy shit, I'm dating Taylor Swift. Oh my God, that is so cool. Like,
literally, he knows he's dating Taylor Swift. He knew what he was getting himself into.
He's not hiding. Well, like, he's not hiding from it. Like, and I definitely agree with everybody when they say like, it's the fact that she was only dating people in her sphere of like musician, entertainers, artists. Like, they were threatened by her because she's just better than them at everything. And Travis Kelce is successful and very much king of his domain in a completely different field. So there's no like jealousy that she's bigger than him, because it's like, well, what? I'm not going to be able to get on stage and sing.
They're literally like our prince and princess, or king and queen. Like, if they get married, king and queen, but like they're a prince and princess of the country right now.
It's such weird timing. I don't know if you've watched the Beckham documentary on Netflix.
I've heard about it.
It is so crazy how like similar it feels right now, of like hot shot sports star, pop star. Right. And like, she was touring when they kind of first got together. He would literally drive hours to spend 15 minutes with her before like, you know, like, it's so weird, because I literally watch it and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is like what's happening.
It literally
right now.
is. And
the media was obsessed with it, like trying to get pictures of their baby, like when they had their first kid. Like, I'm like, wow, this is like the Beckhams.
Yeah. Or I don't know how true it was, but my boyfriend's mom is like obsessed with Eddie Van Halen. And I guess at the time, he, like, back in their heyday when he was like the it boy, he married like the it actress. I don't know who it was, but they got married. I think they lasted for like 7 years and have a kid, and his kid is still alive, like whatever. But she's like, no, that was like they were the it couple of the time, because he was like the best guitarist and like the best band, and she was like everybody's favorite actress, like America's Sweetheart and America's Rock Star came together. And I'm like, oh my God, that's literally like
what's happening.
Yeah. And I was like, that's that. Now I don't know if because she was so obsessed with Eddie Van Halen, like I don't know how, like
Was
if we
it
asked our
as
parents, was
was
it
it
that
as
big?
widespread? Yeah.
Right.
No,
Like
I
if you
mean,
weren't a fan of Eddie Van Halen, like I don't know, you know?
right, I don't know either. But yeah, no, it's honestly like I really hope, and it's weird, like when obviously some of the stuff is a stretch, but like all the like invisible string type
I
things that like get
know.
associated with them. Also, maybe this is a separate thing for another episode, but Reputation is Travis Kelce's album.
Oh my God.
It's meant for
Every
him.
single word. It's like Taylor Swift, like even some of the like first of all, Endgame. How
Okay.
could that
Yeah.
ever have been written about Joe? Like
Yeah,
what do
everybody
you
said
mean
that they're
for a
like
big
big
reputation?
reputation.
Nobody knows who Joe is.
Right. Right. And then like I'm so sorry, but like I'm really sorry, Joe. I'm so sorry I'm doing this. But like so it goes like scratches down your
Oh
back
my
and I'm like I
God.
never picked like maybe this is why I never relate to or like put songs about
Right, right,
people
right.
because I'm like that makes no sense for Joe. Like he doesn't
But
scream
Travis?
sex appeal to me, but I'm like this
Travis?
Kelsey
Okay.
is
Travis is a
hot as
man.
hell.
He is a man. Like he's a man.
Yes, he's a man. She hasn't dated a man,
So
a
wait, I
hunky
want to really
man.
quickly with talking about that too, talk about like why that like I want to verbalize like why this is making us and I think everybody's so giddy, more so than any other relationship and just in general, like which we kind of touched on already, but like um first of all, I went back and listened to the first half of our very first podcast episode, Fearless, because I Steph made a playlist of like
Oh,
gig
yeah.
basically like listening to the playlist through the gaze or the perspective of
Mhm.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in this like new
Yeah, I'm a
love
psychopath.
girl romance. And I'm like, it's just like Taylor Swift, the best way I could describe it, she is in her fearless crush girl era. Like, there is no better feeling than having a crush and just being so wrapped up in it. And every little smile, every little thing they do just sends you over the moon. Like, oh my God, he texted me. Oh my God, he said this to me. Oh my God, he did this. Oh my God, he did that. And we described that in our very first episode. So I made Ryan listen to it to like explain, and then we listened to the playlist.
Love
Um,
it.
but first of all, everybody loves that feel. I mean, like I love that
Of
feeling,
course.
like having a crush. And for whatever reason, we all, a lot of us Swifties, I feel like are like imagining what it feels like to be in that relationship and to be all excited about like both from Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's perspective. So it is so exciting because it's just like when you finally get the text from the boy and you're like, ah, and you like want to jump around your room and dance and call everybody that you
Yeah,
know to be
well,
like, I'm in love, and I don't
right.
care who knows it.
Exactly. And I think too, and I saw a TikTok on this and it was long, but like I sat there and listened to the whole thing because I was like so intrigued. It was something about like masculine and feminine energy and
Mhm.
how Taylor Swift has masculine energy just because of how big she is. She is
Okay.
always going to
Like
be
the
in a
man.
relationship like the power person
Right.
because her life is so huge or like
Okay.
career, all that stuff. And they were like, it's almost like she gets to the feminine side of her that we know she loves because it's in her songs.
Yeah.
She gets to
And her
be that
outfits.
in this relationship with Travis because he
Yes.
can be protective of her. He is sort of like the front man of the relationship right now. And like the one that's giving the intel and like the one that's kind of leading the charge and like here's what you can know and here's what you can't. She doesn't
Right.
have to do
Wow.
that. And like she gets to be like
I'm a
I love
protective girl in
you.
the
And like
corner.
otherwise, in
Protect
like other
me.
relationships, it was like, yeah, like, I mean, it was sort of like she had to dictate what was going on because like her life is so big that like it feels like she'd never get to be like I'm the girl, you're gonna like pick me up and swirl me
Right.
around because she's just
Right.
like, I don't know, like
As is such a
she has to,
strong presence.
right.
No, I know exactly what you mean. That's such a good point.
And like I feel like he's able to be like, no, you're a cute little thing.
Yeah, like
And
they
you get to be
just
a cute little thing with me. I'm going to make
yes.
sure I do what I need to let you be the little thing you want to be.
Yes, do what you want to do. I will take all the heat. Like it's just so like there's just something so sexy about it. Like
So
that him
sexy.
doing it, but also he's this big strong man and we know Taylor Swift's this like tall girl, but like she gets to be like a small girl that
Small.
could
She
be
gets to be a small
worlds whisked
girl.
away.
Yes, it's
No, that's
so
actually such a
cute.
good point. And then the other thing I was gonna say, which I am gonna shit on Joe Alwyn, but the other reason it's so exciting, other than just like the giddiness of like, ah, like the reason nobody really cared about like I mean, other than Matty Haley being, in my opinion, disgusting, like evil trash.
Yep.
I don't know if he's evil. I don't know. But I just mean like I hated every second of that. I was like,
Me too.
I hated it. But like, other than just being giddy about her being happy and whatever, or in a new relationship where we get to be like, wow, this is great, is because, as we had mentioned, she is out there. She is seen as happy. He is talking about it. He is taking the charge on talking about her. He is excited about her. And we have
Never seen it.
maybe other than Tom Hiddleston have, and
Yes.
only through his iHeart TS phase. Not really. I mean, I'd have to dig up interviews, but like this is the first time somebody has like been giddy about Taylor Swift publicly, and she obviously is matching that energy of like going to his games, and they're supporting each other, and he is so excited about her and she is so excited about him. And then you go back to her interviews pre Joe Alwyn, and I mean pre like a long time ago, and
Yep.
she had mentioned, I would never want to hide my relationship. I think that basically she was saying, this isn't word for word, but like, you should be loud about the things that you love. I don't want to hide something that makes me that happy. But if my partner wants that, I will keep it as private as they want it to. So now seeing that, and in retrospect to thinking back on everything with Joe Alwyn,
Mm-hmm.
it just makes so much sense
Well,
why
right.
Travis Kelce is so great. Like, he has loved attention. He's not doing this because Taylor loves attention, and like they
Yes.
both
They
like
both.
the attention that they get
Mhm.
from the fame, and are goofy people,
They're
and are
goofy as
fun,
hell.
and are
Yep.
and like to shout, and are love to be defined by the things that they love. And that is what I really feel like they have so many differences in their fame and whatever, but that is one way that they really, I feel like their energies are so bright
Yes.
and fun, and they can just build off of each other rather than, and we talked about this when Joe and Alwyn and Taylor Swift broke up, like meeting each other in the middle, where Joe wanted a totally private life and Taylor Swift can't have a totally private life. So instead, I
Right.
want to say Joe adjusted his life 20% and Taylor adjusted her life 60%. Like,
Well,
she
right.
changed way more for him than he did for her.
Right. And I mean, it goes back to like Bejeweled and what we talked about when they broke up. Like when he met her, she felt the need to go away because it was around the Kanye stuff.
Mhm.
Then COVID hits. So you never really come back out from that. And then all of a sudden with Folklore, Evermore,
Folklore getting a Grammy.
re-records, Midnights, like she is fucking huge. And
Right.
she wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think that was sort of like wait a minute, I don't want to hide. I want to be jeweled.
Right.
I want to I can make the whole place shimmer.
Yeah.
Like, and that the reason they broke up is also the reason why everyone is so excited about Travis Kelce.
Exactly.
Because he knows that's what she is. And he wants her to be that way.
And not only does he want her to be that way, but he, on his own right,
Is that
also
way.
is like that.
Like, can you imagine? And people always said it too, like, because he's like a dancer, and then like she dances like an ass at like, you know, in a good way at all the shows. Like, can you imagine the two of them being like, let's go together? And then just like being dumb.
They would literally be the most fun. Like both of them.
Literally
I just can like see
so
them like
fun.
giggling best friends, like both of them drinking and like dancing, and then
like let's get
him
blackout.
vibing.
Yeah,
Literally,
like, no. And it's
what
like
award
so
show's coming
crazy
up?
that like she didn't go to anything with Joe for 6 years
he
because
didn't
I
wanna
guarantee exactly. But like I
didn't.
guarantee you, if this becomes a more serious, a more real thing, and he's in his off season and there's an award show,
He's gonna be there.
and he goes with her, they are going to have the best time in that goddamn place,
And
it's
so
going
happy
to
for
be amazing to watch.
And it's just like, until, like, to your point, until we've seen this and then go back and like compare it to Joe, like you can't, it was like hard to know, and like hard for me to grasp what was wrong with, you know, like letting go of Joe and Taylor. And then I'm like, oh, Joe Alwyn's the worst. Actually, he didn't go to any of the Grammys, and actually Taylor Swift didn't go to her own
refuse to
award
talk about
shows.
her in interviews. Couldn't even like, would literally be like, I'm not answering what my favorite album is.
Yeah, I don't want to get in that part of the world. Like, who just answer the question.
And then I also like think back to, there's like 2 interviews, like one where she talks about how her and Joe only write sad songs together. And then also the You're Losing Me lyric, how long can we be a sad song? I was like, ooh, I didn't put that together, but holy shit. And then 2, the piece, the Long Pond session, when she talks about peace, is coming up left and right now, because on Friday, Travis Kelce had a press conference, or had to talk at a press conference before the game. And it was literally like, she talks about, we all know what peace is about. Is what I can give you enough for how I can't control the rest. And he literally in the press conference is just like, I know I brought this on myself. A lot of people care about Taylor and for a good reason, like should. Blah, blah, blah. I was on top of the world after the Super Bowl. I'm more on top of the world now. Like, and I'm like, this man is basically saying, hey, paparazzi fans, I understand why you care about her. You should care about her. And that's fine. We're going to roll with it and have fun with it.
We're going to learn how to deal with that.
You're
and
it's freaking kidding me.
You're so right. Like, and the piece coming up, like, because she kept saying, like, is it enough? Is my love enough if I can't ever give you peace? I can give you all the love in the world, but peace is not something that's in my control. I simply can't. And like, and Travis is like, heck yeah.
I'm having fun. Yeah. Like, he's like, that's cool.
And it's obviously he's used to it, but not, of course, to this extent. But like, it is just so refreshing and amazing. Mm-hmm. So I think it's all of those things combined. The way that
it is,
he's a man and she gets to be the girl, and the way that they're both, they're not competing, the way that they both have fun, they enjoy the fame.
They're both like, and they're both, their careers are both very important to them. So it's not like you have one person that's like, give it up already, stop touring, or one person that's like, can you skip your game today? Like, they both understand how important things are. Ugh.
And I think it's also like Taylor Swift probably knows what she wants now and is probably was able, I assume, to, like, if they're talking about getting into a serious relationship, like, I want you to know I will be touring and releasing music and doing this until I can, until maybe I have kids. And and I want to, like, I'm sure when you're 33 or he's 34 and she's about to be 34, like, if they're thinking of getting into a serious relationship, with all of their pasts out there, like, knowing, like, oh, why did you in your 6-year relationship end? How can you not talk about those things? Like, hey, before we make this serious, I just want to let you know the reason my last relationship didn't work is because I realized that I love touring and I love the fame and I love blah, blah, blah.
Well,
blah,
right.
blah.
And like, I don't know why his last relationship ended, but it was 5 years.
Right.
And like, so they both have had and especially at the ages they are, those past 2 relationships were probably the ones that they thought, this is it.
We're going to be it.
Yeah. And then obviously, like, honestly, I'm calling marriage on this. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit.
Married.
And I think
get married.
It might happen fast.
I hope it happens fast. Like, I hope that, like, it's less than a year that we find out that they're engaged.
And you know what my favorite thing about this is? If it's not marriage, I just really don't see it ending. Either it ends completely like terribly, he cheats on her or something where it's like, okay, we're about to get fucking scorched earth Taylor, which is also pretty fun. Or it's going to be one of those things that, like, they know what it is. They're having fun. When it ends, we're just going to get a bunch of sexy songs.
Right.
So, like, I feel like in a really good place about this because I think it's marriage.
I really think it's marriage and kids because, like, they both want, and like that too. He has talked about wanting that on his podcast.
Yep.
And he is such a good uncle. Like, the girls went on the podcast that they released today, and like they love their Uncle Travi, and
so cute.
And we know Taylor Swift has mentioned, like, maybe, I mean, I don't know if she's changed her mind about kids and stuff but she has mentioned it in the past. Like,
and the thing is, we don't know if she's changed her mind or being with Joe was changing her mind.
Right.
Like, or it was, well, once we get married, he'll want kids or whatever it might have been. And like, clearly he didn't want to marry her. So like, I don't know. It's just like really good vibes.
My heart soars with the Eagles.
Me too. My heart soars with the Eagles.
And the Chiefs.
Also, and the Chiefs. Well, yeah, they both count. Also, I did see the article today that she was there in Kansas City.
No.
Well, apparently, so
that you mean? Oh, not the game.
No. Like, I believe it was Friday, Saturday. She might have been there. So like the day after his birthday. Because I think there was something on the private jet tracker, which I know you shouldn't do, but like I think it was something like flew in or flew out of Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then an article was released today. Again, I don't know how much you can take these things, but like at the same time, whatever, I'm going to run with it.
Right.
And I love that because then that means they got to see each other. And then also I'm so curious because I believe the Chiefs go on a bye week around when she has her first bits of international. And I don't know what the travel rules are for the NFL, but it would be so cool if he could go to one of her shows while she's over there.
Yes, anyway. I need that.
And now we're up to speed. now we're here Wednesday. He released the podcast today. They didn't really talk about her that much because she wasn't at the game, so they didn't
But
have
we'll
to.
see. Home game tomorrow night. Which
yes,
I could see either way, just because she
of the
has
movie.
her premiere tonight and Friday. She'll probably want to be in either LA or New York.
I think she's gonna. People think she's gonna be in New York, like popping in theaters.
Today
and
is
stuff.
LA. Is she gonna be at the premiere today?
Yes.
Okay, so then
because they have like the red carpet out and everything. So I think she'll be there today. And then I wouldn't. And it's funny because people were all upset that she wasn't at the game, and I was like, I'm kind of glad she wasn't.
I know.
And especially if they did hang out, I'm like, I'm really glad she wasn't, because then like the heat's gonna come off of her. Travis already tried to get the heat off of her. Right. For like the NFL's overdoing it. So hopefully it'll die down and they can just be like happy and cute and fun and goofy together forever.
I just am so happy about.
Me too. It's like literally so amazing.
I just like
want
want
starts
more.
to post about him again. Like I hope she posts on Instagram. And I feel like people are really like, there's a difference between being private and being secretive. Like,
yes,
it almost felt like Joe was like, this needs to be a secret. Like, I'm embarrassed to be seen with you. And I know it's not like embarrassment, right? Like, I'm sure that's not what it was, but like, that's how it feels looking back on it.
Yeah.
And like, you can exactly how Travis talked about her on his podcast. He's telling you what everybody else has seen, but everything else is private. Like, I would love to see if they get really serious and they start posting together. I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
I want them to go somewhere together that it's not like Taylor Swift's concert or his football game.
Or his football game, right.
I want them to show up at an award show or a dinner or an accepted, like something together. And I want them to walk the red carpet together. And like, it stinks because I feel like if it wasn't for, his schedule and like whatever with this premiere, like maybe he would have shown up to like the LA premiere, but like there's no way he could travel.
But I also think, and I agree, I totally agree, but I think this is also good because the way their schedules are right now literally means like if they're gonna work, this last few weeks and this next month are putting them through a huge test.
Oh yeah.
And then it also, again, like if people think it's just publicity, that'll also kind of curb it if they aren't spotted together as much because they're busy. So it's like one of those things where like, I really hope we get inklings that they're together at certain things, or like maybe she does. We do see her in another game. Maybe he's at a show, because then that means they're still like progressing.
But I bet during the week, even though it's international, depending on where, she'll still come home and maybe she'll fly right to Kansas City.
Well, the good thing is it's short. She's
she's 1 or 2 nights.
No. Her South American tour is only like 2 weeks long.
Oh, okay. And then
she's back for the holidays. But like, so really that just means there's like 3 weeks that she's going to be international, and one of them is his bye. So like maybe he can go during the bye week, and then maybe there's 2 weeks. But then it'll be hard because in January or next year is when she starts the longer European tour. But if he's not in the even if he is in the Super Bowl, he's done by February.
Right.
And doesn't have to do anything again until August.
And but her going on tour, I'm really excited to hear all her speeches, because she was saying like before August, but also in August, like everything just makes sense in my life. I'm so happy and blah, 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 blah. And I'm so excited to hear her speech before Lover, like to be like, oh, maybe it'll be the same thing, but maybe she'll be like, even I changed the meaning of the song. Or like when she sings Fearless, I'm going to be like,
yeah.
I can't wait to watch her sing Fearless. I can't wait to hear her speech before surprise songs, when it's like a cute love song and she's like, guys, I hope she says
right.
something.
I didn't even think about her speeches.
Yeah.
Because that will be where we hear her talk about it for the first time.
Exactly. So I hope she says those things like, guys, there's these songs that mean something, and like, and then sometimes it's hard for me to sing them because I've moved on from that situation. But then either you guys change them for me, or something in my life makes me have a new meaning to the song. And then she sings like,
if she sings
Daylight,
Endgame,
or like
we know.
Endgame.
If she sings Endgame, she's basically telling us, I'm so in love with this man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get married.
Yeah. Like, or like Message in a Bottle. Like if she does that as a surprise song, like
everything has changed.
Everything has changed. I'll throw up.
If she does a 1-2 combo of Endgame and everything has changed, I'm gonna be like, she's literally already married to him. She's already married to him. They eloped.
She hasn't done Daylight. Like, what if she's like, this song
Exactly.
is a new meaning since this tour. So she's trying to say like it's us, but we're like, no, it's like since
Bitch,
Travis.
we know. It's your
Because of you
sexy
guys and
6'5"
just
man.
everything in my life. Oh my God, I like am so excited for the surprise songs and
Um,
everything.
oh my God, I know. Speaking of surprise songs, should we transition into songs we've never heard yet, i.e. 1989 Vault?
Yeah, we should. Okay, let's talk about 1989 Taylor's version.
Yes.
We have mentioned it already a little bit on our last episode, but this it was prior to the
Vault
vault
tracks.
track treasure hunt or whatever you want to call it, vault hunt on Google where you have to like solve the 33
Crazy.
million puzzles. And then they released 4 out of 5, and then finally they gave us the fifth one. But okay, so should we go through? So I'll just say what the 5 tracks are called to
Mm-hmm.
rattle them off, and then we can go through each one and like, what we think or whatever. So track 17 is called Slut. Track 18 is Say Don't Go. Track 19 is Now That We Don't Talk. 20 is Suburban Legends, and 21 Is It Over Now?
Yeah. So my first thought when I saw all the names, I feel like Say Don't Go, Now That We Don't Talk, and Is It Over Now feels like it could all be the same song
I totally agree.
based
I
on titles,
actually wrote something at the bottom about those 3. You're absolutely right. Like it feels like they could be the same and have the same like sound, but also if you remember for Red as well as 1989, Taylor Swift specifically talks about how she chose the track list so specifically for 1989, being like, I can only have X amount of songs about a breakup because people say that. I need to have a song about my
Yeah.
girl group. I need to have a song about living in New York. I need to have a song about blah, 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 because people are saying that I write
You're
too many
right.
breakup songs. So blah, 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 blah. So Say Don't Go, Is It Over Now? Now That We
Now That
Don't
We Don't
Talk,
Talk.
I think clearly we're left off because she's like, I already have my quota for breakup songs.
Yeah.
And so she loves those songs, but didn't want to put them on because she was worried about people saying things like that about
You're
her.
totally right. And it's so interesting too with 1989 because the breakup songs aren't, well, besides like, I mean, I guess Clean, which is like getting over a breakup and other
Right.
things. And then like All You Had to Do Was Stay, which is like really heartbreaking when you listen to the lyrics. I know it doesn't
yeah.
sound like it, like, but a
And I
lot of
wish you
them
would.
are not like Style, Out of the Woods, I
Yeah.
Know Places. Like, yeah, they're about a relationship that was over, but they're not bad. Like, they're
Right.
not sad or mad. Like, they're sort of just like, I know places we can hide. Like,
Yeah.
but like,
But I Know
obviously that's not.
Places isn't breakup. That's
I
about
know
almost
it's like more of
free.
like in the moment, like, and
Yeah.
then like Out of the Woods is the same. Like, they're not really
Right.
breakup songs, and Style isn't even either. So, like, I feel like, or I Wish You Would.
I
Is
wish you
one.
would, and All You Had to Do Was Say, I think, and Clean are
Right.
the most clearly like it's over. I'm reflecting on.
But like, it's also just like I Wish You Would, and like doesn't feel like
It's
like to
not
me
a
it's very much
diss
like
track.
the
There's no
way
like
her and Harry Styles are now. 1989, the way it is currently fits perfectly to what they seem like hey, we had a good run there,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
we're not bitter about it. I'm afraid these songs might be
I
these 3 that
know.
are hidden might be a little
As you said that, I was like, no, I think you're right. And I think she did that intentionally to say,
right.
like, there are no diss tracks on this
Mhm.
album. So yes, it's about a
Right.
breakup, but I'm not saying anything bad that people are gonna drag like Harry Styles for
Right.
because that's something that she's trying to get away from. So you can't fully call them like these, oh, she just whines about her exes, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
Because she's not. She's not saying that many.
Right.
The worst thing that she says about Harry Styles is like, I heard that you were out and about with some other girl, and like you said, what I heard was true, but I can't stop thinking about you. And I said I've been there too a few times. Like she's saying she did it too. Like
Yeah.
she's
Oh,
not
right.
saying anything malicious about Harry Styles or even specific. And so it feels like that was so intentional that
These 3 might be more of the like,
oh, she left these off.
here's what happened, guys.
Right, right.
Here we go.
Kind of like All Too Well 10-minute let us know
Mhm.
a lot more
Yeah.
about Jake
Right.
Gyllenhaal.
Also, I forgot to mention Wildest Dreams, but like Wildest Dreams, again, definitely about a relationship that's over, but also just like
Oh, right.
in a great way.
Yeah,
like
not bad. Just like
you'll see me in hindsight tangled up with you all night,
Right.
burning it down.
Right. I definitely think those 3 are I think that's why those 3 were left off of the original track
Those are
list.
probably the more like sad breakup songs of 1989 in a way. Like
I think so. That's what I wrote for two
Yeah.
of them, but I also think this album is the most intentional album because she's pretty much told us that. Like I said, with picking certain songs. So I feel as though not because because she said that these songs are insane, meaning like these are her favorite vault tracks. They're insane because they're so good, but we're gonna know why she left them off for the reasons that we just said. It's gonna be because they didn't fit the quota of what the album was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Not because they weren't bops, but because she already had something. She was afraid of what people would say about her if she had
Right.
put it out there or something like that.
Agreed. And with that being said, I think Slut is probably blank space on crack.
Oh yeah.
So like again, we might see once we listen to Slut
yes,
that she already picked blank space. It's a little more tame. It's because blank space is like the first time she kind of pokes fun at what everybody else says about her. So like maybe it was just like, okay, I can't go this far.
I completely
can't wait to
agree.
hear Slut.
And I think so. Let's just go through each one because I wrote like a little bit of a blurb of what I think it might be. So Slut is obviously first. So first of all, I think what's noteworthy is that it's in quotation marks and an exclamation point. So I believe that that references pretty obviously other people claiming that she's a slut. That is in the headlines. It's a headline. So I said, I feel like it's the idea of almost blank space, but crazier.
Yes.
Plus shake it off, like talking about how like, well, everybody's gonna call me a slut and you're gonna say I'm doing this, so whatever, so I'm gonna be a slut then because you're saying I'm doing it. I'm gonna lean into it. And I think maybe my guess would be like, is that how she developed the idea for blank space? Like, oh, why don't I just totally lean into the character? Like if you say I'm gonna be a slut, I'm gonna be a slut. And that's how she's like, oh wait, let me think of blank space. And it also gives me like, do you listen to Sabrina Carpenter?
Not a ton.
Okay, well, the one song, Because I Liked a Boy, which is about obviously like the whole Olivia Rodrigo
thing.
Josh Bassett situation from Driver's License. Like, I feel like it's gonna be also a hint of that, which is I'm a home wrecker, I'm a slut. I got death threats filling up semi trucks. Tell me who I am. I guess I don't have a choice, all because I liked a boy. So I feel like that sentiment is going to be in the song as well. Like, you guys are going to tell me I'm a slut. So, like, okay, like, all because I dated in my 20s or whatever it is.
Right, because we know she said that too.
And yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like the whole, I dated in my 20s and apparently that's some crazy thing.
Yeah. And then it also makes me think, like, that's also why she's, like, making Sabrina Carpenter like hers, because she's like, oh girl, I get it, like calling you a slut when like you literally dated one boy for 2 months and all the media, and it's not necessarily like Olivia Rodrigo's or Josh Bassett's fault. I'm sure they could have done more to stop it, but Olivia Rodrigo didn't call her a slut. She just said like, that blonde girl that you're with, like, or whatever. But I feel like Taylor Swift is like, oh girl, come here, I understand, I get it. And like, I feel like they really connected because of that. One other thing I wrote about Slut is, which I think everybody thinks, is I feel like it's going to be like upbeat pop banger. Like, this is going to be something fun to maybe sexy. Like, I don't know. But
could be. What
I also have learned in us guessing is it's usually the
total opposite.
Anything that seems like so obviously like slut, like, oh, it's obviously gonna be
this is gonna be like aggressive, like
it's
aggressive
gonna be
pop.
Like a slow song about how sad she is.
They called me a slut and I'm upset about it.
It's gonna be a piano ballad, like Clean Part 2.
You don't know that I cry every time I see the headline. Definitely.
That's literally gonna be a lyric. Definitely. But they don't know about the tears on my guitar.
What a callback.
But I mean, I do hope it's like upbeat.
Yeah. The fact that it has the exclamation point makes me feel like it's upbeat, but that's just me.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay, and then the next one is Say Don't Go. And I saw somebody say this, and then I just think the more I think about it, it's like, definitely is that it's going to be like, she's saying like, please say to me, don't go. Like, I want you to say, don't go, because it's almost like all you had to do is say like, all you need to do is stay there, and like, I'm coming right back.
Literally, had me in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I think that's exactly what it is. And it also reminds me of like, basically like we'll see when it comes out, but like basically You're losing me, but in a different way. Like when she's like,
Shut up.
do something big,
Yeah.
say something. Like
Yes.
that's what it
Oh,
reminds
maybe
me
that's
of.
why I literally wrote down, I feel like slow pop, like you're losing me.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote that down. So we
So
like had the
crazy.
same thought. But you're right.
But
Maybe
yes,
it's
like
'cause
I feel like it's
maybe-
like being like literally all you had to do was say, don't go.
Yeah.
And I would be here.
Yes. Like it's all you had to do was say mixed with like you're losing me.
Mhm.
Like if you just said this one thing, like I would come right back. But I
And
can't
like
do
I feel
that
like
unless you do it.
and like it's gonna differ from you're losing me because like you're losing me was clearly like you are so apathetic to me at this point. Like just act like you
Yes.
care at all. And I think say don't go is gonna be opposite where like maybe she overreacted about something or whatever and she wanted to walk away. And it
Right.
was like if all you had to do was say don't
Say these
go.
words.
And I would have been like,
Yeah,
you're
like
right.
kind of
That
like
was silly.
But like, well, I also think in sound, I feel like it's gonna be slow pop like
Yes.
you're losing me. Like it's gonna be
Yep,
poppy,
I could
but
totally
in
see that.
slow, whatever I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, let's
But
be honest, they're all gonna be pop of some sort. But
oh
like
yeah,
right.
definitely. I don't think we're gonna get another clean. I mean,
No.
maybe, but I think if anything, my only guess would be, is it over now? Because that's ending the vault tracks. And that's usually where she does with at least with New Year's Day and Clean, she does a different sort of sound. So maybe that was the piano, but she felt like Clean was more like it is over now. I'm
But
clean.
Clean is pretty slow pop, like pop still.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
You
you're
know,
right. Why am I
like
thinking?
Clean doesn't really
You're
have
right. You're right. Yeah.
It's like slower, but like
You're right. There's not like a clear
it's
musical,
not like an instrumental
like,
of
piano.
something.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But it
like
does
New Year's
feel
Day,
that.
like you said.
It does feel like that though.
It does. Yeah, it's a magical song. Now that we don't talk.
Yeah, now that we don't talk, this one I'm with Say Don't Go and Is It Over Now? I'm like definitely sad. This one I'm like, it could either be really sad or kind of like edgy with some attitude.
I
Like,
totally agree. I was literally gonna say it's gonna be like now that we don't talk, I feel lost, or like now that we don't talk, I'm better, or something. You know what I mean? Like
now
like
that
a
we
little
don't talk,
bit
I
like
realized all the ways that you manipulated
yeah,
me
I
and all the
realize
ways
you're an ass. Yeah, exactly.
now that we don't talk, I'm thinking back on when you did X, Y, and Z, and like I'm better for it. Like
Right.
now that we talk,
like
I
a
know,
mean clean or like a more angry clean.
yes.
Like
So
clean 10 months sober, I won't go back. But like
yeah,
this might be like, here's all the reasons you fucked me up and I don't want to, and we don't talk and I
exactly.
feel good about it. Yeah.
So
Like,
like I would love if we got a little bit of edgy attitude, anger, almost like a little bit of Reputation vibe
mhm.
that you don't get in 1989. There's no real anger except for maybe like Bad Blood, obviously. But
Well,
like
yeah. And that's not
that's
even
like yeah, that's like surface level anger, but not actual like
right.
angst or like whatever it is. So if I mean my guess would be if there's a song that has that, now that we don't talk would make sense. But
Yeah.
again, anytime I guess something like that, it's always the exact opposite.
That's okay. That's what makes it fun though. Like that's what
Yeah.
makes all the songs like, whoa, I did not see
Didn't
that
see that one coming.
coming.
But like yeah, like Castles Crumbling, I was like, oh, it's gonna be like I want to hear the castles crumbling and being like intense, and it kind of is, but like really, I was not expecting it to be like I was expecting it to be like Paramore coded,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
intensity, and it wasn't. So it is what it is. Suburban Legends.
Zero clue.
I am okay. So first of all, my initial thought without even like looking up like whatever is something about like her hanging out with the girl groups and the gossip that would surround how would people would talk about Taylor Swift and all her friends, and that they seem like
Okay.
the mean girls and the mean girls that gossip and whatever. Like she had this girl group, and then all of a sudden it was so fun, and then it turned into like, are these the like the headlines about like them all being together. So like no matter what she
Mhm.
does, she's gonna get torn apart for. Cause like suburban, it's like the suburbs, like soccer moms gossiping is like what I think of.
Yeah.
And then but then the word legends is like, so legends of the suburban girlies, like Taylor Swift's girl group. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah, well, it's funny because like when I saw that title, I was like, that doesn't seem to work with Welcome to New York. Like we're talking about
right,
the suburbs now, like even though,
right,
you know, she's in the city. But I could see like to your point, like maybe she's talking about how her like the gossip about her and her friends has made them legends
right,
in the
right.
suburbs because all
Rhode
the
Island?
soccer moms and these
Yeah.
and that are talking
Oh,
about it.
yes. Yes,
You
yes.
know? So like
That
I could
too.
see that maybe to your point.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
So yeah, I
they're
thought
not the
that
suburban legends, but they have
right
become suburban
amongst the
legends
suburban
because everybody's
moms.
talking about it.
Yes. Yes. Like she has sort of established herself. Actually, yeah, that's not even originally I was thinking, but it also could be because this is that time where everybody in the world is saying like your dad, your uncle, your mom, her sister, not just the fans and not just the tabloids, have a conspiracy about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Kind of like how it is happening right now. Like
Right.
everybody has something to say and a
Which is
thought and
really
a
funny
theory.
considering it's 1989 again.
Yes. It's like it's like
Now I'm nervous about it
wild.
being publicity again.
Yeah. She's like everybody has a suburban legend. Like every soccer mom and football dad has
an
something to
opinion of-
say. And
yeah, right.
So it's like the legends that they created that are so fake amongst all the suburban humans.
Yep.
Which almost like again, I'm thinking of like something like a mean coded like mixed with not Welcome to New York. Well, maybe kind of Welcome to New York, like how she's there. Oh, also, if I'm thinking about it's about that girl group in whatever sense, I'm thinking like Last Great American Dynasty, like all of them going to the big July 4th parties. And for some reason, I'm just imagining when I see Suburban Legends, I'm just imagining them all like Taylor Swift and her Kennedy era going to the Rhode Island house and buying a house next to the Kennedys, and they're all taking their beach pictures and like kind of living that like clean girl lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so like if it's not about what we just said, I'm thinking it'll be about that era of just like, I don't know. I don't really know. Like
this one I'm really confused about.
It could go either way. Just when I see, I guess the word legends, I'm thinking Last Great American Dynasty, like the legend.
No, I agree. Well, it's funny because when you said that, that's what I was kind of thinking too. Because it like in my head, I was like, at this point in her life, would she have been writing something maybe that's not necessarily
about her?
Yeah. Because like the first thing when I think suburban legends, I'm like, that's not Taylor Swift. So like, is she writing about something else? But like, I don't think she really got there yet. So maybe it's something like similar to Timeless, where it's a story that she does link to herself, but it's more so about 1944 and the war, like 1500s off in a foreign land. Like, could Suburban Legends be a similar thing where like it does somehow tie to her, but it's not necessarily a focus in her life? I don't know.
Right. Or what she had done, what just came to mind as you said that was The Lucky One and Starlight.
Right.
Where she's not, yes, it's very tied to her life. Like Starlight isn't about her at all, but it's about like the Kennedys. And then The Lucky One, I forget who it's about, but obviously she's comparing that to her, but maybe it's about like whoever she was around at the time and then kind of comparing that to like whatever. So it could, it could be anything. Anything that we just mentioned. It's got to be, we have to be anything that we just mentioned, which is a big scale. Like if we're not even close to the ballpark, I'm done.
But I just don't even know what it could be if we weren't close with any of these wild guesses.
Or maybe no, but so if you look up urban legend, that's like a wild, crazy wait, I'm gonna just Google it again because urban legend is a genre of folklore compromising claims or stories circulated as true. So gossip, right? A friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I feel like I had a better definition before. I didn't like that one. A humorous or horrific story or a piece of information circulated as though it were true. So basically gossip, especially one purporting to involve someone vaguely related or known to the teller. Which then throwing in the suburban, we know she loves to twist the words.
I like I'm back on the original sort of like gossip.
Yeah.
Like, because especially when you think about like if urban legends are usually like the definition said, like a little bit more like crazy,
like horrific
stories. Like, and this could just be like, remember when the soccer moms were complaining that I dated Harry Styles, or like
you're making a
things
suburban
that
legend.
People still need to gossip about.
Yes, like you're making a suburban legend out of the color shoes I chose to wear that day.
Right.
Like something so like mundane, like the suburbs, like everything's boring there, and you're making this legend out of it.
Yeah,
all right.
I like that.
Okay. I like where we've landed.
Me too.
What do you
Um,
think about sound wise? I'm thinking that's going to sound different than anything else.
so sound wise, for some reason, I'm thinking castles crumbling.
I,
Like,
I'm thinking like last great American Dynasty.
no, well, fine. Well,
Because
and
it's
only
gonna
because
sound like it's like a folklore. It's supposed to be a legend or folklore, so I feel like she's gonna lean into that like freaky like legend sound, but it's gonna be about all these mundane things that are like all of a sudden as if they're the craziest things ever, but they're not.
yeah, but I feel like castles crumbling has that weird like sound to it.
I can only think of
Like Last Great American Dynasty sounds to me like
like fun and upbeat.
fun. Yeah, like fun and
Yeah.
upbeat. And like definitely I don't think the song's gonna be slow by any or like whatever, but I could see it being like a weird like
Yeah.
tempo or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I just
I don't
think
know.
it's gonna sound
Like
different than the
mysterious.
others. Yeah, mysterious. I just think it's gonna have a different sound than the classic like to me, I wish you would. All you had to do is stay. Wonderland, New Romantics, I Know Places, Out of the Woods, all have a very, very similar poppy sound. Where the ones that really stand out sound wise are clean.
This
Um,
love, wildest dreams.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be one of those standout where you can't lump it with a group of, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I forget if I'm listening to I Wish You Would or All You Had to Do Was Stay.
Right. Yep.
Like I think it's gonna be like on its own. Where like Slut we're gonna pair with Shake It Off and Blank Space
Yeah.
and Stay Don't Go, Is It Over Now, and the other one are gonna be lumped together. I think this is gonna be like a standalone.
Yeah. No,
That's my
I
guess.
could see that for sure.
Standalone sound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Is It Over Now? I just wrote unsure.
So the only thing I could think about with that one is it like because obviously we don't really know how and I'm thinking it's a breakup type thing and so I'm thinking Harry Styles because that's what I associate most of 1989 with like how did they end? Was it sort of just a he goes back to England and then they just stop talking? And then like is it over
Yeah,
now is sort of like wait, are we done? Like was that the last time we're going to
right.
be together sort of a thing? Like so that's what I'm getting from like is it over now? Sort of like a ghosting situation like wait, was that the end? I didn't
There was like
realize that was
no
the
real
end.
closure.
Right.
Yeah,
That's I don't know why I get that from that, but
right.
maybe because she's asking the question is it over now?
Like, is it?
Like are
Yeah,
we
like
done?
is
Huh?
this are we not gonna go again? Cause and like and then if you
Right,
think of
that
like
was that the last
style,
time? Yeah.
yeah, like if you think of like style and all you had to do is stay and stuff, it's like with style, she says like we go round and round each time. And so maybe, yeah, there was an
Right.
end, but it's like, well, this wasn't any bigger than the last one. So is
Right.
this
So how
really
did
it?
that be how was that the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you haven't come back in however many days. Like, is it really like this is the final kind of straw?
Right.
But with Say Don't Go and Is It Over Now, I still like I'm not sure, but I feel like either both or one of these is gonna have the slow pop sound like You're Losing Me. Like, because
Yeah, and for
I
some
feel
reason
like,
it's say don't go to me more than is it over now,
yeah,
and I don't know why.
but I feel like she, a lot of times the sound of the song kind of mimics the feeling. So if she's like unsure and she's like slowly losing something, like, is it over now? Is it gone? It's gonna have like that fade. Like there's gonna be like a slow fade of some sort.
And normally I would like totally agree with you, except like I feel like kind of we talked about in 1989 to begin with, like there's sad songs on here that don't sound sad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, is this gonna follow the trend? Like all you had to do was stay. I love that song. I dance that song. But then I like think
Mhm.
about the song and I'm like, damn, that's probably like one of the track fives I relate to the most. Like
Yeah.
it's like and it's like, damn, that's really sad. So like I don't know, like any other album,
I know.
I would probably agree or like say definitely it's gonna be. But like since none of them are heartbreaking to hear, I just don't.
Right. Like
I
is
don't know
are
if it's
any
gonna
of them.
sound sad or slow
Right.
or it's just weird.
Yeah. Ugh, wow. And to your point from like the last episode, like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, wow, actually I'm so excited for this re-record
Okay. Yep.
because of what you were like, well, we didn't love it the very, very first time because we just weren't ready for full pop Taylor coming off of Red. You know, we only got little sprinkles and like then you're like, no, but it kind of gives us a fresh perspective. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. Like I have actually the only re-record. I've stopped listening to the album. I never really listened to it full through because for Red, Speak Now, and Fearless, I'm like, oh, I want to listen to the OG one last time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stop
Yeah, I haven't really done it either.
because every other time it takes me a week and I'm like, okay, other than the Vol tracks, I'm over listening to this. So I want to have like a fresh, like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much I love this song.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like avoiding it. Not totally, but like
Yeah.
way more than I've avoided everything
No,
else.
I totally agree. I'm doing the like pretty much the same thing. And like I also have to say, like, it's so funny that I act like I didn't like this album when it came out. And like because I listened to it all the time. Like I was thinking about this today because I was like, I remember every time I'd leave like the business building to walk home
Yeah.
to our apartment. 1989 was playing.
It was the
And I
only
was
thing I
having the
listened
time
to.
of my life strutting down the sidewalks to this. And I was
Loved
glad
it.
I had a 20-minute walk. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, I listen to this all the time and I act like I don't like it. But it's so funny because I thought about it because I was like, wait, I used to say the same thing about Red. Like I loved walking to class listening
Yeah.
to Red. And then it like kind of hit me like, wow, 1989 and Red are like, and it's funny because with Red, I technically was still dating somebody, but I think it was sort of the like
The beginning of the end.
yeah, and it was sort of like I know this isn't the forever.
Right.
Like we're gonna break up at some point. So like it was almost like I was listening to Red as a breakup album, and it was like, yeah, like this stage in my life, I feel this hard. Like I feel it. And then like 1989, I was single,
Right.
and I was like, wow, I feel this so hard. Like I have a great group of friends here. We have so much fun together, and like it was like, wow, I like those were awesome albums for me for college, basically.
Yeah.
Like I'm so glad they came out when they did for us, or we were that old, I guess I should say.
No, it was a perfect time
Because I was like, yeah, we pregame to Style all the time.
Oh my God, all the time.
Like or Wildest Dreams or like whatever, like Blank Space. Like it was so fun.
It was so good, and
even our guy friends loved it.
I know that we say that like, oh, it's the least favorite, and yeah, again, it should be like prefaced with it was still the most listened to album ever. Like it's the only thing that I listened to and learned every single lyric to, except I skipped This Love. I just like for some reason like literally could not stand that song. But and I listened to it back again, and when she re-released it a year or two ago for Taylor's version, I was like, oh, maybe I like the song, and it is beautiful, like poetically, but I still am like, I skip it. I just don't like the sound of it. Anyway, you're right. Like I say, I didn't like the album, but it wasn't that I wasn't listening to it and didn't love the songs. I think I just was stepping out of like being obsessed with Taylor Swift at the time because I wasn't like
we weren't following her every like thing, and also at the same time, like similar to what we were saying about all of the sad songs on this, they aren't heartbreaking, and like because even objectively the most heartbreaking song on here would probably be, I mean, I guess All You Had to Do Was Stay, but like
I was gonna
Clean.
say Clean.
But like Clean is also like Clean is heartbreaking, but you're already
you have a sense of peace.
Yeah, like she's already worked through the heartbreak by the end of Clean. So like I feel like that's also such a transition. Like not only did she shift from country and country pop to full-blown pop, she shifted from like, here's my feelings on a page, like heartbreak, sad, like feel this sadness with me, to like fun and like still sad. Like the lyrics are still strong.
Right.
But it was just like, wow, I don't get the All Too Well that literally has me jaw dropped the second I hear it.
As much as the storytelling and all like in that sense, but it's like,
but I think that's just like, it was just a shift. It was an overall shift.
It was a shift, but I just also think there was nothing that I didn't like other than, of course, like I just said, like the This Love. Like there's so many songs that I liked and loved, but I felt like I remember listening to the first time and hitting next and like waiting to get to the song. And I felt that way with Clean, but it was the end of the album. And I was like, I feel like there's something missing from this album. Like, that's what it was, I think. It's not that I didn't like or like hated every song.
Yeah,
it was
I
just
agree.
like I felt like there was something missing because there was all these pop songs and there was barely any like an All Too Well ballad that you're like, oh my God, and it's the music and her storytelling and her words are overpowering the music. This was an album that the sound was almost as important. And in some places more important than her lyrics, unless you literally went and read them. And Clean and Wildest Dreams, actually. I remember,
Yep,
well,
that one
Wildest
too.
Dreams didn't
Yep.
come out. I just remember thinking like, oh, these are the two songs. Like,
Yeah,
these
me
are the
too.
two songs that I'm like, okay, thank God. Whereas like with Red and with Speak Now and Fearless, there were like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the songs I was like, yes,
I mean,
yes,
the second
yes,
Treacherous is track 3 on
yes.
Red, and I was like, I'm in.
Exactly. So I think it's not so much that I was like, I hate this album. I just
Right.
didn't get
There
my
weren't the
like
standouts.
my dose of like
Yeah.
this album is complete. It has
No, I totally agree with you. And I think again, like similar, because we were talking about tops and bottoms of this album, like I do have some standouts. Or actually, honestly, at this point, there's one standout still.
which
And then
is
Clean.
oh, same.
So
That's
my
my number
top
one.
3 are Clean, Wildest Dreams, and All You Had to Do Was Stay.
I'm so close.
And I feel like all of them are still my tops. And Clean is obviously still a top, probably top 10 of like favorite Taylor Swift songs.
Yes.
But the other 2 aren't. And the rest of the album, though, is not low.
Exactly. That's
and like I like Welcome to New York. And
I know.
like after going to the Eras tour, I like Shake It Off. Like when I was trying to pick
know.
least favorite, like I think at the time I didn't really like How You Get the Girl, but now I love it, especially
love it 'cause
now that
it's
I'm looking
actually
at my
really
new
cute.
lens of like the 6'5" man in her life. Like
Literally.
How You Get the Girl.
No, you're so right. And I think I said this prior, like a long time ago, that there are some of my favorites, such as Clean on it. And there are most songs I either average like or are
Yeah.
above average.
Yes, exactly.
Except at the time, and I still change this now, some of my least favorite songs, or all of my least favorite songs, were from this album, which were Welcome to New York, Shake It Off, Bad Blood, This Love.
Okay.
I rescind that from probably in the past year. I really get down to Bad Blood with Kendrick Lamar. I love it.
I've never been against Bad Blood the way other people are.
Yeah. I think I was just against people saying that's what Taylor produces. And I'm like, that's
Right.
not the reason we love Taylor Swift. Stop listening to that. Like, that's easy
Right.
pop. But, like, that's okay. I still love it. But I still stand with that statement. But, like, still, I like Bad Blood. I love Shake It. Like, in the past year, I'm just like, I love this song. It's so fun.
It's such a good song.
It's amazing. And Welcome to New York, I'm not like, I love, but I don't have the same hatred.
It's like one of those things, like, it's like when Welcome to New York comes on, like, it's like I get pumped about the like din, 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 din,
yes.
din, din, din. I'm like, yes.
I'm like, woohoo. And then I know what song it is. I'm like,
then I kind of fade. Right. By the end of it, I'm like, it's still a good song, but you know, not as pumped. But like, right, like I'm not like, I don't know. I like and Shake It Off. I'm like, okay, I used to not like this song, but now I like it. And like again, I would have said How You Get the Girl used to be one of my bottoms from this album. And I'm already literally saying, like, in my head, I'm like, I can't wait to hear How You Get the Girl, Taylor's version. I don't know why I feel excited about it.
I'm so excited about everything. So now, and you're right, like my top 3 are Clean, Wildest Dreams, and Blank Space, because I just think Blank Space
was going to be, like, if we went 5, it probably would have been Blank Space and Style added.
Yeah. I have 4, 5, 6 just because I couldn't. I like lumped Clean, Blank Space, Wildest Dreams, which have always been the top since day one of the album.
Yeah, me too. These and then, Clean, All You Had to Do Was Stay, and Wildest Dreams has been my top since the start.
And then the other 3 grew on me. Style grew on me a couple years later on its own. I was like, oh, this is a great song. I think it was probably just overplayed. Yeah. And then becoming like a Swiftie, being in fan groups, getting in threads, I didn't realize how hard people went for Out of the Woods. So then once I re-listened to it, I'm like, oh my God. And now I get so pumped up for the bridge that is now one of my like non-skips. And then finally, You Are in Love, which is
so I was going to say, I actually didn't include, like, in my trying to find my tops, I didn't include Wonderland, You Are in Love, or New Romantics in them. But I actually would put those 3 probably up at the very top, like up in the top 6 or
Wonderland
7.
and New Romantics wouldn't make my top 6, but they would, like, that I just mentioned. But that would be like my next tier of I Wish You Would, All You Had to Do Was Stay, Wonderland, New Romantics.
Yeah.
Like that group. And then you have your bottom.
Right. But like, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, Clean, Wildest Dreams, All You Had to Do Was Stay, Blank Space, Style, Love, and You Are in Love. I have to put that up there. The next tier, probably not much lower in the grand scheme of where I'd rank all of these songs. Wonderland, New Romantics, I Wish You Would. What am I missing? Out of the Woods. Like, it's literally, there's not like
a big gap.
But
it's more so like, rather than highs and lows, they're all just kind of like average to above average.
Right.
Ultimately, except for your Clean.
Except for clean. Yes.
which I totally agree. And I think, again, just back to my point, there was always something missing for me. But now that we've had 4 straight pop albums from Taylor, like Reputation, Lover, Midnights as well, going back to this is like,
I'm excited.
no, it's not missing anything because I know the lyrics. Just like at first, I wasn't getting into the lyrics as much because the sound was too much. But now I think we'll have like this fresh, like,
I agree. I'm excited. I'm like, I think I said it when we first, like, I'm really excited to listen to it again, just because I feel like,
No, sorry, you could finish your thought.
No, I think we talked about it, like, just because I think I didn't appreciate the first listen of this because it was so different. Like, I'm excited to listen to it again.
Yeah.
Anew.
So our when we listened to Speak Now Taylor's version, we were together, like, as it came out at midnight and recorded our reaction to the vault tracks first and then put it out. And it was really like a YouTube hit. Obviously, I'm bringing my camera again because we'll be together. I'm going to come to Connecticut, but the day that, like, it will already be out for many hours. Like, we'll be getting there at like 6 or 7 at night, say, like, probably because of traffic, but whatever. I had a thought, and like, I don't know how I feel which way about it, so you let me know. Do you think we should wait to listen to the vault tracks until we're together? Like,
Steph.
for the video?
What are you doing to me? So I could
It'll be easier for me than you because I'll be teaching all day, but
right. I was gonna say I could go either way with it. And I thought about that too. And I tried to think back, like, truthfully, I think one of our best album episodes was Red.
Oh yeah.
But I think part of it what?
The 10-minute version of the video. That's all I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah. But like I feel like part of it was because we both sat with that album.
Yeah.
For a while. Like, because obviously when we're together for the release, like Midnights and Speak Now, like, we get drunk and we have so much fun. But then when we talk about them, we're like, I can't really, like,
I know,
remember,
like,
you know, like, so.
Yeah, you're right.
I would say.
Yeah, you're right. Now I'm like kind of talking myself out of it because you're right. Like, do we want a better podcast or do we want a better, like, reaction video for YouTube? Like, our reaction video for YouTube isn't our podcast.
Right.
Because we would still do that and then have to record a podcast after that.
Right.
Which we only have one night to do.
Yeah, that's true. We do only have
like,
one night. But
we'll see. I mean, the wedding's at like 4:00 and I'm like 2 hours away. But, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think you're right. I think we should listen to it and just, like, I'll listen to it in my car ride in the morning. And then after school on my way up, I'll just listen to
all of it.
All of it.
So are you, now that we've, I guess, decided that, are you going to listen to Vault first on the way into work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But now I have a 50-minute drive, so I'm not going to be able to get through the whole entire album.
Yeah.
So I have to go to the bottom. I'm going to go immediately just number 17, Slut, to Is It Over Now? And then I'll just go to the top of the track list and listen to it in order from there. And I won't be able to listen to the whole thing. So then after I work, I will go pick up where I left off at, like, All You Had to Do Was Say or wherever. Go all the way down and then just once I get through the whole thing once and the vault tracks twice, I will probably just keep listening to the vault tracks.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
I was thinking too.
Which
actually, it depends. Like, if I'm working that day, I'll probably listen in order. And then when I get to the vault tracks, I'll, like, take a walk or something.
Right.
Because, like, I want to listen, you know, I don't want to be distracted by whatever I'm doing at work. So maybe that's how I'll do it.
What I will mentally note, because I'm not going to look up the lyrics while I'm driving, because, like, obviously, is if there's after school when I get to you, we can look up in real time, like, if I don't understand a lyric or something, like, I'll mention if I, like, because I always mishear lyrics, you know? Especially this is the start of that Starbucks Lovers.
True.
I wonder if she'll, you know, I wonder how different this sound will be compared to us knowing that Speak Now was the biggest change in sound.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting with her, like, albums that are newer. Like, basically this one and
Reputation. This one might doesn't need to sound any different.
Because that's what I mean. Like this one and Reputation have such good production on them that, like, they don't need a lot of changing. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with them.
If she decides to change something.
Right.
But we already know with Wildest Dreams in This Love, it sounds to me
pretty
like
close.
Pretty identical.
Yeah, exactly.
So she followed that same thing for the rest of them. It is also interesting. You kind of forget that those songs are already out.
Oh yeah, I totally did.
Like,
well, because when I looked up the track list before it gave me a nice like in order version. It was like Wildest Dreams, This Love. And I'm like, why are you putting that first? And I was like, oh, because they're already out. Yeah, forgot that.
We have like 2.5 weeks. But also the
Yeah.
Heirs Tour movie comes out. I'm going Saturday. Are you going Saturday?
Yep, I am.
Made my first friendship bracelet. I ordered a bunch of stuff. It
Cute.
says Cornelia Street because I wanted to just test.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Nice. I love that.
And I'm super excited to make friendship bracelets and to go. And I guess we'll mention it before we dive into the 1989 review.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't know how much there will be to mention unless she like drops something in the middle. Or
Yeah,
does
unless
something
it's like
that
crazy.
we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it'll
we
probably
see
just be like our
concert.
experience at it. Not
Exactly.
anything
Like had
else.
so much fun, met so many great Swifties, blah,
Right.
blah, 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 blah.
Wow,
But that's
exciting
it.
times. Hope we get a couple more whatever they're calling them, Tayvis trailer.
Tayvis, Traveler.
Swelce.
Ooh, Swelce. I like that.
We'll see. Hopefully we get some more goods over the next couple
hope
weeks.
so.
But
I really hope so.
other than that, I guess it's time for you to pick back up your stuff.
Because we are dropping our mics
Now.
Yeah.